about the wider consequences of this legislation, universities like Harvard or other Ivy Leagues choose to rely upon the debunked Equality Labs report that we just talked about. So in admissions, I've heard that some actually indicate a preference for Dalits and Muslims. And if you're a Hindu and you don't know your caste, which is quite normal for Hindu children these days, I mean, they don't really associate with caste much anymore. They might look at your surname and put you in a caste bracket anyway. And then all these categories are used to decide who gets admission and who doesn't. So nothing to do with meritocracy, as you mentioned earlier. And I guess one of the concerns would be that now that the Indian government's allowing all these foreign universities to set up in India, are these kind of non-meritocratic and divisive tactics going to be imported into India as well? And what would that do to society there? It would be very divisive. And Panditji, what would be your message to Hindu youth who might have to face these challenges there?
No, your question is so pertinent and timely. Divisiveness is the nature of this particular game. You know, it's apparent that if you have a surname Sharma, Trivedi, Chatterjee, and all of these names which are being used now to target completely innocent people, Sundar Ayad was targeted by his name, no other evidence whatsoever. If you're a student with any of these surnames, going to Harvard, going to these places where they have accepted this colonizer, this Christianist framework, where they've enshrined it into their working practices, means that those institutions are no longer safe spaces for anybody who is not a non-Dalit. This is a huge, huge step that's happened already. And institutions of that sort should not be allowed to go into India whatsoever. If the ministry responsible for education in India has any gumption or any perception of what the consequences of this will be, they really should suspend and put on hold the applications for all of the universities who are wanting to open up shop in India until they can clarify exactly what their position is. If their position is that they are institutionally and constitutionally anti-general category, as it's called, then that is educational apartheid. It is an institution which will discriminate on the basis of a notion of what your religious identity is. Isn't that what apartheid is? So this will exacerbate all of the problems being caused by the SCST Act, for example, which has been abused over the years. And Richaji, I hope you don't mind, but I'm just going to make a little bit of an announcement. At the conference, we will be introducing a report which is devastating in terms of the revelations it will contain. But to find out more, you have to register. This is where I'm going to do my little shout out. You have to go to castcon.com and register. But the consequences of this apartheid, this academic apartheid, they mustn't be underestimated. And so I think, yes, this is another cause of concern for the Hindu community and the Indian community in Bharat, but also in the United States, to fully understand and to hopefully be inspired to get involved.
You're right. I mean, it's an issue that affects all Hindus globally. I mean, because unfortunately, we know that what starts in the US soon makes its way across the world. So you might not feel the effects of this caste theatre just yet, but unless stopped, it could soon affect every aspect of life for Hindus all over the world. So please do donate and help make this conference a success. And if you're in the area, please attend it. We will include, Panuji, I think there's a link to a fundraiser, right? So we can include that at the bottom of this video in the description box to make it easier for people who do want to support this kind of conversation, which will hopefully start helping to turn the tide on this narrative.
Absolutely. And we've emphasized the global nature of this problem. We've emphasized that if it happens in the United States, then this cause of conflict will be exported to Bharat as well. And so I would reach out to everybody and mention two things. One, it's an in-person conference. And so if you are in the United States and you are available for that weekend of the 16th of July, please do visit in person and get involved with the conference. There is lots of opportunity for networking, And there are also going to be breakout rooms to work out specific strategies and action points and tasks and toolkits. The other aspect is that it's also it's a hybrid conference, so it's also going to be streamed online. And so even if you can't make it to the conference itself, or you're in Bharat, or you're in the United Kingdom or elsewhere, please register and participate in the online aspects of it as well. There is no Hindu anywhere who is not going to be impacted upon the outcome of this. So please, we welcome your involvement and support for the team. The link, as you say, Navitaji, thank you so much for putting it underneath. That'd be wonderful.
You know, it's interesting if you think about it. Discrimination based on inherited circumstances or inherited position in society occurs in all cultures. Yet they've chosen to describe this particular form of discrimination, which is universal, caste. I mean, why not call it class discrimination? You know, it's far more endemic and provably rampant in Western society. I mean, you only have to look at the British monarchy and all the lords and ladies. Yet they choose to call it caste, a term that's associated with Hinduism. I mean, not even an indigenous concept. Again, it alludes to a certain narrative being spun, I think. I mean,
Yeah,
what are your thoughts?
I totally agree. It's undeniable that this is the case and this is the issue. In every community, there are differences. For example, we have the long-standing acrimony between the Protestants and the Catholics. Now, in India, there is, and in some of the cases that were included completely erroneously in the UK caste report, there is an issue between one particular group of Sikhs, the Ravidasis, and another group, the Ramgarhias. And these are anecdotal disputes that were put forward. That's got nothing to do with a hereditary, hierarchical, endogamous system. But what they did is they bundled it all together and said, oh yes, this is the terrible Indian caste system at play and at work. And so that, again, it's a conflation. It's at best, it's sloppy research, but at worst, it's propaganda, it's misinformation, and it is intended to harm the Indian and Hindu community. Without a doubt, there is malice afoot here, and we should deal with it in that manner. We should recognize that's what it is.
Please remember to subscribe to us and switch on the notifications for this channel. For our other social media links, more content, and to support our work, please visit citti.net. Dhanyavad. Namaskar.